Welcome to the Prompt Engineering Masterclass. So this class is brought to you by AI Stack Academy. My name is Ifunaya Masaba, and for the next few minutes, I'm going to be helping you do one thing, just one thing. My goal here is to help you do one thing, all right? And that is to help you learn how to write better prompts. All right, once you can learn how to write better prompts, you're able to get better results from any model. Okay, and so that is my goal here today, to help you do one thing to help you write or to teach you how to write better prompts. So whether you are in a 9 to 5 role, or you're a student, or you are running your own business, or maybe you're building AI solutions for clients, this session will definitely give you an edge. Okay, I promise you it's going to be very short, very practical, and we're not going to have all those boring technical jargons here. Okay, it's going to be short, practical, and engaging. Okay, so let's jump right in. As I said earlier on, my goal is to help you write better prompts. So by the end of this class, you should be able to understand how AI models respond to prompts. You should be able to write clear prompts that get you better results. You should be able to use simple prompt styles to guide the AI to get the results that you want. Of course, you'll be able to avoid mistakes that confuse the model and end up confusing you. And of course, you should be able to apply prompting to real tasks like writing and planning, or whatever it is that you use artificial intelligence to do. All right. So as I said here, I have just one goal: to help you write better prompts, to help you get better results from LLMs. Okay. So let's jump right in. What is prompt engineering? What is prompt engineering? Is a buzzword, right? Prompt engineering, or when people say you should learn AI, some people say, oh, just learn prompt engineering. And then you see some jobs: I'm looking for a prompt engineer, I'm looking for a prompt engineer, oh, we're looking for a prompt engineer on our team. And you're wondering, what is that? What is prompt engineering? Now, if we look at these two images, we're going to see two scenarios that are at play here. Okay, the first one, the man looking very humble, obviously very hungry, and the second one, a more agile person. But let's look at the first scenario here. Okay, the first image, this one, the man, I'm hungry. He's telling the waiter or the chef, whichever one he is, I am hungry. And then the chef is like, okay. So what do you want? Do you want rice? Do you want yam? Do you want swallow? Because it's even a word statement, because you're sitting in a restaurant and you know that you are there to eat. So you should have a specific meal that you want to eat. You don't tell the chef, I'm hungry. He knows you're hungry. You know you're hungry, but you're there to eat. Okay? And then the second person here, the second scenario, we can see the same man, but this time maybe a bit more specific with his requests. So he's not just saying, oh, I'm hungry, and hoping the chef will guess whether it's rice he wants or yam or swallow, right? He's saying, I want party jollof rice, grilled chicken, cold water, and Chivita Active. So you can see how specific he is. He's telling the chef, and he's even a bit dramatic, I want party jollof rice, not just jollof rice. He had to be very specific. Party jollof rice, I want grilled chicken, I want cold water, and I want Chivita Active. Now what you are seeing here is prompt engineering. Okay, it is simply learning how to ask properly. In this case, the chef or the waiter is the large language model. The chef here is the AI, and he is asking very specific question. The AI here can do a lot, right? or the model can do a lot, but it cannot read your mind. So if you want better results, you have to ask. That's what prompt engineering is about, right? So knowing how to ask in a way that the AI can understand you and can deliver. Okay, but I just said something now. If you were attentive, I just said something now. I just mentioned large language models. Now, if you are unfamiliar with that word, let's take a look at what a large language model is and how it works. So I'm sure you have used ChatGPT before. I'm sure you have used Grok. Grok, what is this man saying? Grok, can you explain this? Or I'm sure you've used DeepSeek or Claude. All right, those are large language models. It's a computer program that has been trained on massive amounts of human data. So think of books, think of tweets, emails, blogs, whatever it is. And because of that training, it has learned to recognize patterns in natural language. Think of all these things I mentioned. Books, written by human. Tweets, written by humans. Emails, written by human. Blogs, of course, written by human beings. So now these models have been trained on all of these things that have been written by human beings, and so it has started to recognize patterns in our writings. All right, it has started to recognize patterns in natural language, the language that is being used to communicate with you. Okay, so now it recognizes how we speak. Okay, it recognizes how we write. It recognizes how we ask for things. So, for instance, I can ask ChatGPT for something and then I say, write it in my words or write it in my tone, because it has been trained, or for the time being I have used it and it is used to my writing. So when I say write this like me, it can generate that same text that would sound like something that I wrote. That's really how large language models work. Okay, they've been trained on massive amounts of data, books, emails, blogs, whatever it is, and now they can understand and recognize patterns in natural language. So when you type something, it can respond in a way that sounds human. Not necessarily because it understands us, okay? But because it has seen enough examples to make a really good guess. So think of it like this. If you read millions of WhatsApp chats, blog posts, Google searches, you start to notice how people talk. All right? So as I said, it recognizes these patterns. So when you give it a prompt, it's not thinking. It doesn't think. That's what people don't know. Models, these AI models don't think. They predict. And they predict because they have access to data. They've been trained. So they predict what to say next based on the pattern. So anytime we talk about prompting, all right, anytime we talk about prompting models, just know you are most likely talking to an LLM and you are giving it an instruction. If your prompt is vague, like, oh, I'm hungry, like this young man here, if your prompt is vague, it will guess wrongly, because the chef here has to ask him, okay, he's trying to guess now, is it rice? Do you want rice? Do you want yam? Do you want swallow? Because the man in question was not specific. So to be able to write better prompts, number one, you need to be very, very specific, okay? If you say I want hot party jollof, not just jollof, or hot one, and it has to be party jollof with grilled chicken, cold water, then the LLM knows exactly what to do. Okay, so we've established a point here that specificity is king. So you have to be specific when you want to prompt. All right, now that we know that, let's get into the how. How do I get very specific? It might be easy for me to prompt something, and I can be very specific, and I might be trying to get the response or the answer to another thing, and I will struggle because maybe the situation or the context is different in that case. So how do we get very specific to write very, very good prompts to get the best out of AI? Because they're actually structures, right? There are frameworks that you can tap into, you can use to get better results. So we're going to look at them right now. It's like a mini cheat code. Okay, and that brings us to the framework for crafting good prompts. So this is the framework for crafting good prompts. It's the PCAET framework. I really wished it was the PACET, so we can say it's the PACET or the packet framework, right? But it is the PCAET framework, and the P here stands for persona. Who should the LLM act like? You are this one is very popular. You scroll on Twitter or on Instagram and see you are a personal coach. You are a this, you are a that. So the person is trying to assume that the persona of the LLM is a coach, or the LLM is, the personality is a chef, or an implementation specialist. Okay, so the persona here is who you want the LLM to act like. All right, and the context is the situation of the background. The ask is the actual instruction. What exactly do you want the model to do for you? And then you have to give an example. This is not necessary. We're going to get into the details. Example, show you what good looks like. And then the tone. The tone is the emotional feel of the output. So how do you want the content to sound? So you are giving the AI everything it needs to give you exactly what you want. All right, so let's look at the example here for persona. Okay, let's explain them individually. So for persona here, you have to tell the AI who it is. It guides the voice and thinking. All right, you have to tell the AI who it is. So for instance, you can say you are a top tier email marketing expert. You are a career coach. You are a world-class digital marketer. If you don't explain, right? You don't explain who it is or what it's doing or how you want it to do it, it's going to get confused. All right? So without a persona, you get general responses. For instance, if I just say, I want to transition to tech. And I prompt ChatGPT, I say I want to transition into tech. It would probably give me something. But if I say you are a tech career coach with 12 years of experience, so I'm very sure with that prompt, I will get a better response. So you need to always think about the personality or the persona of the large language model, depending on the context of what you want to prompt. You are a career coach. You are a world-class digital marketer. All right. So you tell the AI who it is. And the next is to give it background or situation. That is the context. You can help it understand why it's doing that task. The context is the situation or the background. If the AI doesn't know who the audience is or why you need something, it will probably guess. So you want to help it to give it context, to give it background, and to give it like a situation and say, okay, this is the situation on ground. Help me do this. So the example I have here, you are a career coach. 1. The context, you are helping someone who just lost their job and is trying to land a remote role. All right, that's good context. You can say, oh, you're helping a small business owner or a small business that just launched a skincare line and wants email sign up. So you're a world-class email marketing expert. You are helping a small business that just launched their skincare line and they want more email signups. All right, that is giving the model, context, and for this class, I'm going to either be calling it model or LLM or large language model. So please, whatever I call it, just know I'm referring to one thing. Okay. So you are going to be helping, you are helping someone who just lost their job and is trying to land a remote job. You are giving it context. Okay. And for the next one, it is ask. Okay. You have to ask it what you want. You cannot assume it knows what you want. And you have to be very specific while doing that. So the ask is the actual instruction. You need to be very clear, very specific. Think about it like you are giving an instruction to somebody, right? And you want the person to follow you. Okay? Write a 3-paragraph LinkedIn post that gives encouragement and practical advice. You are a career coach. You are helping someone who just lost their job. Write a 3-paragraph. So you already know, or the model already knows that what you want is a 3-paragraph, and not Instagram post, not Twitter post, but LinkedIn post. All right. So the ask is the actual instruction, and the ask here is that you want it to write a 3-paragraph LinkedIn post. All right. And that takes us to the example. This is optional, as I said here. If you show it what good looks like, it can help reduce randomness. So here's a post I really like. Now I'm asking the model to write a 3-paragraph LinkedIn post for me. But if I can get a LinkedIn post that I really liked and say, here's something I liked, it can help the model frame whatever it's writing to really look or sound or model what I gave it as an example. Okay. So this comes in when you're picky about style or length or tone. You can show it an example. Okay. You can show it. It is optional, but it is very effective, especially if you already know what works. All right. What works for you, what works for your audience or whatever. So you can give it an example. This is the post I really liked. Then you paste it. All right. And then as the tone. This is the emotional feel of the output. Okay. So you can say, sound like a Nigerian mother, or sound like a Gen Z TikToker. That works. So you are a career coach, you are a world-class digital marketer, you are helping someone who just lost their job and is trying to land a remote job. Write a 3-paragraph LinkedIn post that gives encouragement and practical advice. Here's a post I really like. Sound like, you can't sound like a TikToker in this case now. So sound like, what are we doing? We're giving practical advice. So sound like a coach, right? But in very clear terms, so I don't struggle to understand you. That's a good prompt. That is how you can prompt your models to give you exactly what you want, right? With the persona, context, ask, example, and tone framework. I hope you are taking notes. Now, not every prompt is going to need all of them. You don't have to add examples in all your prompts. You don't have to add tone in all your prompts. But the more specific you are, the better results you will get, okay? So this is the PCAET framework for writing better prompts. This is the PCAET framework for writing better prompts. The first one is you can test it out now. All right, you can pause this lesson. You can think of something you want to prompt and just test it out now. The PCAET framework for writing better prompts. Okay, so let's take a deep breath. Okay, we're about to get into something else. What I just showed you now is a framework for writing good prompts. Now, if you're familiar with the word framework, a framework is like a formula. A framework is like a formula. It's like a blueprint. It tells you what to include, when writing a good prompt. So we've just gone through it and we're seeing that if I want to write a good prompt, there should be a persona, there should be context, I should have an ask, right? There should be an example and then a tone. That's the framework. All right. But now I want to show you the techniques, the small tweaks and tricks that can help you write very good prompts. Now, this does not erase this framework. All right. The framework is the structure. So every time you want to write a prompt, you first think of the persona, the context, the ask, and all of that. But the framework is the structure. The techniques are the skills that make your prompts sharper, right, and more specific. All right. So the framework, so we have the framework and we have the techniques. So think of it like this. The framework, how to cook jollof rice, right? The framework here, how to cook jollof rice. And then the techniques can be add bay leaves, use smoky firewood flavor, toast your tomatoes, whatever it is. That is the technique for cooking jollof rice, right? But the framework is how to cook jollof rice, right? And then we have techniques like add bay leaves, as I said, toast your tomatoes and all of that. All right. So if you're listening to this and you think, this woman is obsessed with jollof rice or she likes food, I have to confess I'm not. Okay. But I just want practical examples. Very practical examples I believe anyone can relate to. Because when you're learning something new, especially tech-related things, you need very clear and very relatable examples that can stick, okay? So let's move over to the framework, or let's move away from the framework because we just learned the framework, right? So let's move away from the framework and let's look at some prompting techniques, all right? Prompting techniques. These are some prompting techniques. My screen is blurred at the moment. I'm not sure you can see it, but there is 0 shots. Let me go back and have it load again. So prompting techniques, there is 0 shot prompting, right? We're just going to look at it individually. Presenting again. Okay, so I'm not sure. I don't know if you can see my screen, but I cannot see the images. All right, we have labels, inscriptions on the images, and I cannot see it. I'm so sorry for that. So I'm just going to jump and explain it. All right, so we have 0 shot prompting, which is probably the first image to the left. All right, we have 0 shot prompting. Now 0 shot prompting means that you're asking the AI to do something without giving it any example. All right, remember I said that it's optional to have examples in the framework. So in this case, the model uses what it already learned during its training process to guess what you mean or to guess what you want. So for example, write a 1-line motivational quote for Monday morning. If you are giving the AI task, but you are not giving it any examples, you just assume it knows what you mean based on how it was trained. All right, that's 0 shot. 0 shot, 0 shots, the straight instruction. It works well for simple tasks like writing emails, summaries, tweets, lists. But if the task is quite unusual or is tricky, you will need something stronger. All right, you will need something stronger. So 0 shots is write a 1-line motivational quote for Monday morning. Write a thank you message to my customer who just purchased my bags, or just 1 line. Not 1 line. Sorry, just 0 shots means no example. I'm not giving you any example. Okay. And as I said, if it's a simple task, then that it can work. All right. Which brings us to the next family member, few shot prompting. All right. Few shot prompting. Now, few shots here is so when we say short, right, we mean how many examples you give the AI. All right, so short here stands for examples. If I say 0 short, it means that we don't give the model any example. But if I say few shots, I mean how many examples I give the AI before asking it to do something. So if I say 1 shot, it means 1 example. If I say few shots, more than 1 example. If I say 0 shots, it means no example. All right, so with few shots, this time, instead of just telling the AI what you want, you show it a few examples first. All right, few shot means asking the AI to do a task after showing a few examples. So here you are teaching the AI or the model the pattern you want it to follow. All right, so we have an example here. Convert the following headlines into clickbait style. So the first one is new tax laws introduced. And then the clickbait style for that example is the new tax law that is shaking everyone. All right. Now for the second example, we have scientists discover new star. And then the clickbait for that is you won't believe what astronomers just found. So if we give it this example and we say, now convert this one example we have into a clickbait style, it can learn from these 2 examples and then it can add a new one for itself, like it can complete it. All right. So you use this when the task is a bit creative or you want to control the tone or the format, or the AI needs a pattern to copy. So few shot prompting is basically you saying, here's how I want you to do this. Here are a few examples. Now repeat it. So you're basically teaching the AI what good looks like right inside the prompt. Okay. I hope you understand that. Few shot prompting. So maybe you are trying to get something, right? Okay, so you are trying to get social media captions for something and you say, these are old captions. Now write this caption based on these examples. All right, so the next family member here is the chain of thought prompting. It's the chain of thought prompting technique. All right, the chain of thought prompting technique. So it's a technique where you tell the model to think step by step before answering. Think step by step before answering. So with this technique, the model breaks down its reasoning process instead of jumping to a final answer. Okay, so if you say 2 plus 2, think step by step. Once you can prompt it to think step by step, it doesn't just tell you it's 4. It will tell you how it arrived at 4. All right. So the example prompt we have here is, what are the rules for leap years? Is 2024 a leap year? Think step by step. So let's do a bit of practical here. And so the question is, think step by step. Is 2024 a leap year? What are the rules for leap years? Let's just say, is 2024 a leap year? Think step by step. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I had caps lock on. Okay, I think we're just going to use it like that. Is 2024 a leap year? Think step. Is 2024 a leap year? I wasn't even looking at what I was typing. All right, so let's go again. Is 2024 a leap year? Think step by step. All right, let's see what it says. What are the rules for a leap year? So this is the first step. A year is a leap year if it is divisible by 4 But if it is divisible by 100, it must also be divisible by 400 to be a leap year. Step 2. Apply the rules to 2024. 2024 divided by 4, yes, divisible by 4. No, not divisible by 100. So we don't need to check for disability by 400. Yes, 2024 is a leap year. This is chain of thought prompting. Imagine I just said, is 2024 a leap year? Yes, 2024 is a leap year. But it was able to, because of the prompt, think step by step, it was able to walk us through its reasoning process. All right, so that's what chain of thought prompting is about. It's best for complex tasks, right? Complex problems or multi-step reasoning or situation where accuracy matters. All right, because sometimes these models can hallucinate. So where you want a situation where the accuracy matters, you are basically telling the AI or the model, don't just give me the answer, walk me through your thinking. All right, so it also connects back to our prompt framework where the ask part can include how you want the answer delivered. Remember the prompt framework, we have the ask path. So the ask path here will be walk me through your thinking. Think step by step. Or I hope you are understanding. All right, so that's chain of thought prompting, a technique where you tell the AI to think step by step before answering. All right, so that takes us to the next let me go back to presenting. So that takes us to the next technique. All right, and that is role-based prompting technique. All right, role-based prompting technique. With role-based prompting, you assign the AI a specific role to guide how it should respond. By giving the model a persona, you influence tone, you influence depth, and you influence style of its output. Okay. You know, in Nollywood movies, you know how in Nollywood movies, once someone wears a lab coat, you just assume they are a doctor. They are playing the role of a doctor. That's exactly what role-based prompting does. So you're not just telling the AI what to do, you are telling it who it is. And once you assign that role, like you are a doctor, you are a career coach, you are a 5-star chef, the model shifts how it responds. So it becomes more specific, more focused, and oftentimes more accurate. Okay? As I said, not always. All right, so you are a resume expert. You write the CV to impress a hiring manager in the tech industry. This is best for tailoring tone and expertise. When you want to simulate experts and when you want structured responses. All right, when you want to give it a certain voice or style, or when you want it to act like an expert in a particular field. Like, this is the most common technique on social media. You see, you are a marketing expert. Do this. Or you are a life coach. Do this. All right, you're a doctor, you're an attorney. Draft this. My big issue, or one big issue I have with role prompts is this. You don't know the AI's training data. It may not have seen enough about that role, or it may have learned the wrong things. So what happens when you say act like a doctor and then you rely on it for advice? The model starts guessing. If it has not been trained well, the model starts guessing. It will fill in the blanks based on what it thinks that role is supposed to do, even if it is wrong. And you know what it will do? It will still sound confident while doing that. Have you ever tried to argue with any of these AI models? They are very confident. It will tell you this is what you should do. This is what you should do. It will just be hallucinating and still sound very confident. That's how hallucination happens. So it can fabricate quotes, give wrong stats, or misrepresent the whole role entirely. And he would do it he would be very proud. He would do it with style. So don't get me wrong, role prompting is very useful, but it's not a magic fix, right? You just have to know when to apply it, and you have to double check to see if the results are accurate. Okay, so don't go and ask ChatGPT. Ask like a doctor, tell me why my stomach aches, please. That's not what you should be doing. Okay, double check the results for accuracy. And if you need to see the professional, don't assume that an LLM is a professional. Go see a professional. All right, that is for role based prompting technique. So let's say you are writing, you are an expert SEO marketer, right? You are an expert, or you are a professional editor. Okay, so now you can prompt the model based on whatever you want it to do. Maybe at work, say you are a professional editor, do this, do that. All right, so that is a technique for prompting. All right, so for the next one, react prompting. A technique where you prompt the AI to first reason and then act. So react stands for reason and action. Reasoning and action. All right. A technique where you prompt the model to first reason through a problem, then it should take the actions and finally deliver a response. So you get the AI to think step by step, just like chain of thought, using a structure: thought, action, observation, and final answer. So my example here is this: what's the population of the capital of Italy? So you prompt the AI to reason, to act. If you say what's the population of the capital of Italy, I hope you know it's just going to tell you the population. But if you say you reason through thought, action, observation, final answer, structure, it's going to tell you it's going to walk you step by step through its thoughts, through its action, and the final answer. So this technique is used when you want the model to reason and act accordingly. All right. When you want the model to slow down, when you want the model to think and decide what action to take. All right, maybe when you want to search a document or you want to take multiple steps. All right, so that's where the react comes in. If you give more control over how the AI thinks, especially for tasks that require reasoning and decision making, then you would have better outputs. So to trigger it, you don't just ask a question, you give it a structure like thought, action, observation, final answer. Now you are saying, think step by step, tell me what you are doing. All right, tell me what you are doing, think step by step, tell me what you are doing, and then give me the final answer. So you're literally teaching the AI how to behave. It's like prompting the AI to become more deliberate with its responses. Personally, I don't use React for every prompt, but when I'm dealing with a task that involves research, multi-step logic or analysis, or maybe instructing tools like AI agents, then React is gold. Again, it's not magic, right? But it gives your response depth. So maybe we can try it out. What's the population of the capital of Italy? What's the population of the capital of Italy? Think step by step. What's the population of the capital of Italy? Think step by step. through thought, action, observation, and then the final answer. The capital of Italy is Rome. To find the population of Rome, I need the most recent and reliable population data, which can slightly change year to year. Alright, I need to check if I know the latest estimate. Then the action, recall the most recent population data available for Rome. Observation, as of the most recent estimates, the population of Rome is approximately 2.8 million. Alright, the population of the capital of Italy is approximately 2.8 million. So if I just asked it, what's the population of the capital of Italy is Rome. What's the population of Italy, right? It could have just given me the direct answer. Now I'm mixing things up. What's the population of Rome? It could have just given me a direct answer, right? But I asked it to think step by step through thought, action, observation, and answer. I'm going to change the model and use O3 and see what it says. Okay. So as I said, you use this when you don't use this all the time. You use this when you are doing a research, right? When you are doing a research, or when you are doing advanced logic work or analysis, or maybe you are instructing AI agents. So it's looking through the population, it's searching the web. We're just going to it's deciding on population sources. It looks like checking Wikipedia directly, and it's still searching, right? The source from line 261 says 2.7. The population of Rome City proper is around 2.8 million. And then determine the last reliable population figures for Italy. The thoughts, action, consult recent official and demographic sources, and then the observation. So when you're trying to do research and you want very, very accurate responses, the React prompt framework is ideal, okay? The React prompt framework is ideal. Now, the last one is the self-consistency prompting. It's a technique that asks the AI to answer the same question multiple times, over and over again, then picks the most consistent answer, which is going to be the correct answer. All right? Because sometimes even the best AI models can give slightly different answers depending on how they are feeling that day. Well, not feeling technically, but you get my point. So let's say you ask, what is the next number in the sequence 2468? One time the model is going to say 10, another time it's going to say 10 again, and maybe suddenly it will just say 12, right? So by running it a few times, you can spot which answer is most consistent, and that gives you more confidence that it's the right one. All right, this is really helpful when the question involves math or logic or multiple step reasoning, right? And you want to reduce errors. You don't want your model to make mistakes, or you don't want weird answers. So you can use the self-consistency prompting. But let's say you are just writing captions, you are just writing research papers, depending on what you are doing with your model, you may not need this. You may need another one. You may need another technique. You may not need another one, all right? So you just have to know exactly what you want and get your model to understand what you want using the framework and using the techniques. All right. So for what I said here, I said when to use it for logic problems, for reasoning tasks, for math related queries, all right, or when a single answer may vary depending on randomness, or when you want to help it to increase accuracy, right? That's when you use the self-consistency prompting framework. All right. So that is that for the prompting techniques. All right. There are more advanced methods like tree of thought prompting, multi-agent prompting, even other hybrid methods, right, which combines chain of thoughts and self-consistency. They are all powerful, but maybe you don't need them, or you may not need them at this point. So if you can master the core, maybe these 6, you'll already be ahead of 90% of people using these models. And if you can get better results from these models, it will help your output in everything, at work, your business, whatever it is that you are doing with the models. All right. Now, let's do a quick demo. Let's combine some techniques, right? We mentioned the few short techniques. If you can remember, that means few examples. We mentioned React, which means reasoning and acting, and role prompts. All right. So that is the framework. Now let's combine it with some that is the techniques, I mean. So let's combine it with frameworks. You can still remember the framework, right? The PCAETs, that's the persona, context, ask, example, and tone. So let's write a prompt. Okay, let's write a prompt. Let's just try to mix some of the things that we have learned in the class together. So we're going to write a prompt. The persona here is the financial advisor. So you are a financial advisor who specializes in small business funding. All right, that's the persona. Remember the context. We talked about context. A client is considering a loan offer. They've given you their monthly revenue and expenses. So the ask here, you're going to help them decide if the loan is worth it. You're going to reason step by step and suggest what to do next. The example here, we would add a similar case that has been handled before, and the tone should be smart but easy to understand. Now, if you look at this prompt very well, there are a few things that are playing out here. All right. We're going to set the model as a financial advisor. So persona, you are a financial advisor. What does that tell you? We're already giving it a role, right? We're already giving it a role. That is role-based prompting technique. You are a financial advisor. All right. Now, we said we're going to combine some techniques. We're going to combine few shots, react, and role. So we've already given it a role, right? You are a financial advisor. Now, for few shots, we said here that we're going to give 2 example clients the conversations, 2 examples of client conversations. So we're going to give 2 examples of clients conversations, and then we're asking the AI to both reason and act. All right, to both reason and act, or make a decision. I'm sorry, that I think you can't see that. All right, so we're asking the AI to both reason and act. So we're combining few shots, react, and role with our standard framework, which is the PCAET framework. You know, you don't even need a technique. If you have this framework, you can just go ahead and use this framework to write. But in a situation whereby you need accuracy, you need something very more accurate, right? You might want to add examples. You might want to give it a role and all of that. So now let's demo this. Let's say you are a financial advisor who specializes in small business funding. A client is contributing. So let's paste this in our model and see what it says. All right. So I have the prompt already. You are a financial advisor who helps small businesses owners decide if a loan is smart based on their business cash flow. So use the React technique, think step by step, then suggest the next best action. This is do you remember we said we're going to give you two examples, right? So these are the two examples. I am just going to paste this, here, and see what it says. So it's breaking down the things. It didn't just come out to say, oh yes, do this, or oh no, don't do that, right? Monthly revenue 1.2 million, monthly expenses 1 million, net profit 200,000 naira per month. Now compare net profit, loan repayment. Action: decline the offer. The repayment would cause a severe cash deficit and likely lead to debt or business strain. So it has given us the action and it has told us what to focus on. Focus on increasing net profit margin if urgently needed. All right. So this is just an example of us using the framework that we have learned in this class and a few techniques. All right. You should sit down with it, understand it, and then the only way to understand it better is to practice. So when next you pick up your phone or your laptop to talk to ChatGPT, try to assign a persona, try to assign context, try to ask it for something specific, try to give it an example, and try to use a tone and see how your results get so much better. All right. So this is what powerful prompting looks like, right, to guide the reasoning path of the model. Before we wrap up, there's a quick concept that I want us to learn. Let me go back to presenting so that we can see. Before we wrap up, I want us to learn about tokens and why it matters. Okay. AI breaks everything down into tokens. So your models break everything down into tokens, and tokens are like small chunks of words. So a token is how the AI reads your prompt. It splits everything into pieces. So when you send a prompt to a model, the AI doesn't just see sentences. It sees tokens, small pieces of your words. For instance, apple 1 token, banana cake 2 tokens, unbelievable 2 to 3 tokens depending. Maybe it might identify on as 1 token, believe as 2 tokens, and able as 3 tokens. I am not saying this is what goes on. I'm only saying it breaks things down into tokens, right? And for unbelievable, it might identify it as 2 to 3 tokens instead of one word that it is. All right. So when you send a prompt to an LLM, the AI doesn't just see sentences. What I said is that it sees tokens. Now, one thing you should understand here, which is very important, is that every prompt and answer has to fit within a token limit. All right. So most LLMs have a token limit of 4,000 to 8,000 for both your prompt and the response. All right. So if you go too long, if you are trying to prompt the model and you are typing a lot of things and you exceed your token, you will probably not get a response. If you use a big part of your token allowance, when there's less room left for the AI to respond, it can sometimes cut it off or give you a shallow answer. If you are using API, longer prompts also means higher costs. So when you are crafting your prompts, remember to keep it tight. I'm not saying you can have long prompts, right? But remember that if you exceed your limits, you would probably get a very vague response, or your your response would be cut short. So, right, if you are using APIs, of course, you have to even pay more for that. So just to keep this in mind when you are prompting, remember to keep everything. I'm not saying keep it short. You have to let the AI understand what you're saying, but let it be tight. Don't go and paste a book in the LLM and say, transcribe this or explain this to me. If it has very little tokens left, you may not get the response that you would get. So instead, what you can do in that situation is to break it down chapter by chapter and say, okay, summarize this chapter for me. Okay, summarize the next chapter for me. All right. So the more tokens you use, the more you are charged. Longer prompts equals to less space left for the answer. All right. That is what I want you to know in today's class. Everything. So far we have done. We've learned about framework for writing better prompts, and we've learned about prompting techniques. All right. So that brings us to okay, so we've done this demo as well, and we've learned about tokens. All right, so that brings us to the final part of our class. Everything we have covered today, unfortunately, I don't know why, but my images aren't showing. So everything we have done today is, let me reload this. So everything we have covered today is just a small part of what is possible with AI, right? It's just a small part of what you can do with AI. I think I need to find. All right. So everything we have covered today is just a small part of what is possible with AI, right? What you can do with AI. And this class, whether you stumbled on it or someone sent it to you or you got access to it, this class was put together by AI Stack Academy. All right. We started the academy because we could see where the future or where the world was going or where the world is going. AI is moving very fast, and people who understand it, even at a basic level, are the ones who would be able to leverage it to stay relevant and thrive. So our goal is simple. We want to help train 1 million Africans to confidently use AI to work faster, to solve problems, and to open up new income streams for them. So if you found today's class valuable, then our 6-week bootcamp might be the next step for you. All right, so inside the bootcamp, we don't just talk about AI, we actually get to use it practically. We will use it to build. You will learn how to build solutions, AI solutions like voice agents, automations, assistants, and tools that businesses can actually use, tools that businesses can actually pay for. All right. So whether you are running your own business or whether you are a freelancer or you're working, right? Whatever, with the skills that you learn here, you would be able to work faster. You'll be able to make better decisions at work, and of course, you would be able to stand out and stay relevant. All right. Whether you want to start freelancing, landing better jobs or better gigs, or whether you want to reduce inefficiencies inside your own business, or whether you want to open up new income streams or new opportunities for you, the AI Stack Academy School of AI Bootcamp is the only way. All right, so where we get together to learn practical AI skills in 6 weeks. All right. It's beginner friendly, it's practical, and it's built for people who want to stay relevant and thrive. All right, the tuition is 52,500 for 6 weeks, and no, you won't be required to pay anything else during the classes. To join us, just go to the website www.aistackacademy.com. You would see the School of AI Bootcamp link there. You can read up everything you need to know and register. Okay, depending on the time that you are watching this video, the next cohort or the next class starts on the 1st of August 2025, right? So you can hurry to the website to register and join us. All right, so let's wrap this up here. I hope you learned something valuable today. I hope you learned something valuable today. I hope you can pick up your phones or your laptops and you can use these models to write better prompts and have better results. I hope you can. All right, so let's wrap this up here. If you are ready to go deeper, I will see you in class on the 1st of August. All right. Thank you very much and have a good day.